Win up to £25,000. The Community Lottery, a subscription-based lottery that allows you to continue to support good causes that matter. When you win, good causes win. Every month, eligible good causes have the opportunity to win a share of funds that could help them continue the good work that they do in our communities. To apply, there's no complicated forms, nor do you have to be a registered charity. Just grab your phone, send us a 60-second video explaining your good cause and the difference having extra funding would make to your project. Visit thecommunitylottery.com. Hit the play button and sign up for either 13 weekly draws or by direct debit for just £4.35 that gives you 4 weekly draws. You could have the chance of winning £25,000. The aim of the Community Lottery is to create an additional source of funding that will enable good causes to undertake innovative projects that matter. If you're in, the communities win.
Well, hello and welcome to another edition of What a Week right here on MediaNet Live TV with myself, Mr. C, and our wonderful, 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 wonderful human being. What a man. Tony Crossbody, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. C. How you doing, sir? Where everybody's celebrating.
Oh, my God.
He's seen the game. He says football's coming home. The man from Brentford.
Good evening, Christopher.
Evening, Chris. If our viewers haven't yet seen it, England just won a game against Germany 2-0, and our man Raheem again.
I'm vexed, man. I'm vexed, man.
Why?
Huh? I don't tell everybody that this game is going to penalties, and the Germans are going to win on penalties. I can't believe England go and upset the whole apple cart and go and win. Sure.
Yeah. I know. I thought that, but I'm glad our man struck goal with the first goal, opened it all up.
Yeah, well, I know Sterling's going to do his thing. You know what I mean? But that means there's going to be nothing but drunken debauchery in the streets of Wembley and Brent later on tonight. Good evening, Karen James. Good evening, Carolyn as well. Good evening to yourselves.
Karen said she doesn't want no football talk tonight. She don't want to hear nothing about football. Good evening, Angela.
This is going to prolong the agony. You know, I like it when England get kicked out early. When England get kicked out early, everything returns to normal properly. But now you go outside now. They've all got hope in their heart and their eyes. When I'm seeing them in the street now, they're all, it's coming out, football's coming. They can't even say the name of their own country right. But England. There's no A after the G. It's not Inga. It's England. Yeah? It's 2 syllables. England. England. Where the A come from?
Right. But yeah, all of you guys going to work tomorrow. It's going to be a very happy environment for you. Very happy. Your colleagues are going to be so happy. They're going to talk about Harry Kane, of course, his goal. That sealed it.
He's brilliant, isn't he? Harry Kane. Oh, look at that. You know, he waits for his moment. That's what you've got to give Harry Kane credit for. He waits for his moment. Anyway, yeah, so England, congratulations to Gareth Southgate and the boys, especially a big shout out to Raheem Sterling, who kicked things off, let's say. Kicked things off and gave England hope. And we wish the whole England squad and all of you who are supporting England, we wish you all the best in the next round as well. I shouldn't say I, because I don't know where Tony sits as regards to it. But
no, man. Let's support them all the way through, you know. And I hope the borough of Brent is not too noisy tonight and into the early hours, so Mr. C can get his sleep.
Well, listen, I got hot water. I got hot and salty water here ready for them. If they start singing underneath I dash it back. Oh, yeah.
So I want to say hello to Melrose. I met Melrose for the first time on Saturday, Mr. C. I said I went to a little dinner, and a beautiful lady approached me and said, "You know who I am, do you?" And I was like, "You don't remember what we were saying about not being able to recognize anyone?" I said, "No."
Yeah.
Oh, it's Melrose. And I went, Melrose, how are you? So look, she's turned up. She's here today.
That's good. I'm glad she met you, because I would have said Melrose who.
No way, man. No, I couldn't say that.
I'm playing Melrose. I'm playing. Bless up, man. Melrose Christo, big up yourself, darling. And I'm glad that you met Tony in the flesh. There you go.
Yeah. She picked me out as I come through the door, so
good.
Hello, good evening, Phil. We haven't said hello to Phil. Phil's here.
Oh. There you go, Phil.
Yeah.
Big up yourself.
Germany, yeah.
Yeah, man. So look, well, you know, we've got another more weeks of this football melee to go. However, what it's becoming really interesting. I mean, Wembley Stadium looked like it had enough people in there today, Tony.
What COVID? And you can't keep Notting Hill Carnival, but you can keep what? How many? 70,000 people together, cooped up in the stadium. No
I think
problem.
It was 40,000 today. 40,000. Angela Cozier says yes. Let's see if we can have 40,000 Carnival this year.
Oh boy.
So yeah, well, I mean, look, I think all of these sporting events which are happening with people in numbers can only mean one thing: dance soon. I go keep.
Oh yeah.
And what's his and Sajid Mr. Javid, has said that on the 19th of July, lockdown shall be lifted. He's coming like Moses. Let my people go.
Yeah. We're gonna see.
Go on, Javid.
Phil doesn't agree with you. She says that basically they're gonna use the football as an excuse. They're gonna say the football has basically caused the spread of the Delta variant. And we can't lift it. Oh.
Interesting. Yeah, you could be right, Phil.
Let's see. Christopher says more. Christopher says more affairs.
Well, what a week of government affairs have we had. Matty Hancocky, as we should call him now. Well.
If there was ever an appropriate name.
Yeah, well, Matt, if your hand was on your and not on somebody else's, you wouldn't get catch.
let's put the first slide. Let's throw the first slide, Mr. C, for the viewers to see. We can look at the slide and
let's talk. Yeah.
Let's get that slide up for the viewers so we can see what was going on.
Whoa! Whoa! You get banged to rights. Carolyn, you're too bad. 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 Oh my goodness, man. Well. He's got a tight grip of government affairs, I think, there, mate.
Yes, man. I think they call this foreign affairs. He's the foreign.
Yeah, listen. Foreign affairs. Yeah, man. Yeah, boy. That's cool. That's cool. Getting to the bottom of your job, innit? Oh, Lord have mercy, boy. I don't know.
What's Karen? Karen said this is Battygate.
Oh dear. Oh, this is too much.
I know. Phil, Phil says that this is a distraction and they're going to be stiff. I'm sure that's true, but this is fun though. Come on. Well, it's not fun for their families. You got to feel so. I mean,
go on, Tony.
This is a joke. No, this is just a joke. I didn't realize, that she's married as well. I didn't know.
Yes, she's married as well. She is. Now this is the thing. What for me? I mean, like Carolyn has put up a real good statement, saying that rumor has it it's all fake to hide his pedo shenanigans that has come out. So it could very well be something like that. But I find this really, really strange. I mean, I've never worked in politics, but I find it very, very strange that if you're such a senior cabinet minister, that there is cameras and you don't know that there's a camera there. I find it very strange.
Yeah.
And this is his office.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I can believe this was a setup, absolutely. But you need a little laugh during this crisis, man. You know what I mean? And Matt Hancock don't strike. He don't strike me as a man that he strike me as one of those guys that got beaten up in school. You know them boys that got bullied. Nobody ever paid him no attention. He couldn't get no girls. He was the total nerd. And here he is now running the country.
And you know what was go on, Tony. Sorry.
Go on.
And I think for me, I mean, if you've watched the video, it's very, very, very uncomfortable watching this video. Very, very uncomfortable because the body language is terrible between the two of them because he's got no skills whatsoever. When you watch the video, he reminds me of a 13-year-old boy at the school disco in 1972.
Right.
His very first school. It's like he didn't know what he was doing. It was all very uncomfortable. And to be honest with you, it didn't look, when people have got chemistry with each other, especially if they've been supposed to be doing this thing for a long time, there's supposed to be some kind of symmetry and chemistry. There wasn't none. It just looked awkward. And for me, you could see.
If you look at that picture, even if you look at that picture, there's something very manufactured about it. That's not a way to snog any woman, man.
It just didn't look right. And for her, I can't see how she would. The only way she could be attracted to Matt is because of his position and his power and his money. There's nothing masculine or manly about the way how he roams in there.
It looked like she's taking him. She looked like she's in the commanding position, and she just put your hand on my bum so it looks manly.
I think if anything, she's the one who instigated the affair. I reckon,
Right.
He ain't got no game. If you look at how he's got no game. He's one of them man there where he can't believe his luck. That's what happened. And Tegan Allison said he looked desperate for a crab. Yeah. I'm talking about the video, Phil. Yeah, I've seen the video. The Sun newspaper has released the. Oh, she's a multi-millionaire.
Right. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Carolyn. So is Bill Gates, but that doesn't stop them from trying to want more money. Yeah.
Saying good evening to Sophia Norris. Good evening, Sophia. Good evening, Charmaine Bradshaw. Welcome to the last show of this season.
Well, oh gosh, yeah. Where's my tissue? Oh, that's the last show.
Yes.
I'm going to get emotional.
Yes, it's going to be an emotional one. Yes. We won't be seeing our lovely viewers for a little while.
They'll
have to make do without us.
Shall we let them know now when we are coming back? No, I think we'll tell them at the end of the show.
At the end of the show,
yeah.
But can you imagine when Boris is interviewed about this particular case, and Boris is going to say, man is man, because Boris is the same type of dude, isn't it?
What can Boris say with his trailer load of picnic? What could he say? You know what I'm saying?
Boris, man is man, what can it do? Man is man. Yeah, but that's an awkward looking picture, bro.
Yeah.
It's a very awkward looking picture, Yeah,
me no know, Marcel. Me no know. Right, boy. And to be honest with you, he need to change his hairstyle. Because that thing look like it don't look good on the top of his head.
No. But he's going the way of what's his name? We was talking about him just now, Prince William.
Prince William. Yeah.
What can he do with that? What can he do with that, Ed? Really?
So the question is, do you think though he should have resigned, ladies and gentlemen? Do you think he should have resigned? I mean, hanky panky goes on all the time. People have affairs all the time. Should you have to lose your job for something that you do in the comfort of your own? Well, I was going to say of your own time, but he's in his office.
He's in work time, not in his own time.
Listen, mate. Yeah, we've all done a little bit of personal thing at work. Yeah, we've found our family members or whatever. We've used the office computer to look up cheaper insurance online at work. We've all used the office or the working environment for our own personal use.
For clandestine activities.
There you go. So this time, instead of a ream of paper, he's handling it's his AIDS batty. So. So
Charmaine says, of course, he had to resign. He was the one preaching about social distance and made the rules. Yes, that's right, Charmaine.
No, I disagree, Charmaine. I'm going to tell you why. Because what's the reasons how we can intermingle? We've got our social distance bubbles, haven't we? So obviously, because that's his aide, she's in his bubble. So he's allowed to. So he's allowed to boss his bubble.
And they're bubbling, bro.
Yeah. And he's allowed to bubble with his bubble, isn't it? So he hasn't really. I don't think he's flaunted social distancing rules.
Yeah. You see, I mean, the thing is, if you're having an affair with someone in your job, does the job have the right to sack you because you're having an affair? Yeah,
I totally agree.
Do you know what I mean? That's your private.
I don't think he had to resign. I don't think he should have been sacked. No, because I haven't seen a valid reason why.
What do they say? Did he resign himself, or did they push? Or did he resign?
This is a controversy, isn't it? Because it's been made out to believe that he resigned, but then now Boris is trying to go on like he's a bad man. Boris is going like, yeah, I may do it. But Boris, when we were talking to you about, he was like, I don't know whether he was in or whether he was out.
But he certainly was shaking it all about.
So yeah, Boris, Charmaine says he resigned and then Boris sacked him because Boris is a real bad man. Boris is a real bad man. Boris is the kind of guy, you know, when there's somebody saying, you know what, there's a bad man who lives down the road, you know, and then somebody else goes and they shoot the bad man. Boris is the guy who comes afterwards with his stick and poke the dead man and say, yeah, and if you say anything again, I go dig you with a stick again, yeah? Look, that's the kind of guy Boris Johnson is. How can you sack somebody after they resign? You,
you know, but as I said, I can't help looking at this picture and think that this picture looks so manufactured. You know, there doesn't seem nothing organic about it, bro. Yeah. And you saw the video; he looks very, very awkward.
Extremely awkward. But hey, it's the state of British politics, ladies and gentlemen. And what can we say from the Profumo affairs all the way through to remember even what's his name? I used to call him Shabba Ranks. Major. What's he was?
Right. And you remember there was times where there was that minister who was caught with a tangerine in his mouth and the tights over his head. Remember? The Conservative Party was all kind of kinky business.
What was his name? Major. What's his name? John Major. John Major. He was doing a thing with what's her name? Edwina Curry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He had big affair with Edwina Curry, and yeah. And as you said, there's some shocking things what go on with politicians. I mean, back in the day, of course, you had Madam Sin, who was running the whorehouse down in Streatham.
Oh yeah,
They were so scared because half of her clients were from the government. So yeah, Edwina Curry, that's it. Yeah, thank you, Christopher. Yeah. So
yeah, the Conservative Party, man, they're a load of sleaze bags, man.
and let's not talk about who was the one who used to be always up against Harold Wilson.
You're talking about what's the boy? You mean the Labour guy?
No, Ted Heath.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he had some skeletons in his closet.
Oh yeah. Because it all came out after his death, didn't it? That
Yes. So they hid that. They definitely covered that up.
Yeah, Carolyn reminds us. Sucking of the toes. Who was that again? That was the girl was wearing a Chelsea shirt. She used to be a Chelsea supporter. She used to wear David Miller.
David Miller.
Yeah, Miller, yeah. Sucking the toes of some young chick in some basement somewhere. And it was all over I remember that, all over the sun. She used to wear a Chelsea shirt because Miller was a Chelsea supporter. Yeah. Yeah, man, so the kinky Conservative Party, bro.
Well. What can I say, man? What happens in Parliament should stay in Parliament.
Right. So now Matt Hancock has been replaced by the new Health Secretary. If we can have his slide up. I wonder, Mr. C, what he's going to be doing.
Hold on. Let me put my head next to him.
Oh boy.
The hood from Thunderbirds.
So Jackie Pearson says, good evening, Mr. C and Tony. Was nice to see you, Mr. C, on Saturday.
Definitely, Jackie. Bless up, man.
But Mr. C, the likeness with the hood is uncanny, though, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It is definitely, I mean, that is reincarnation of the hood. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got to be so careful because I know they may be young ones watching. I'm saying he could be the son of the hood, so we could just call him 1, 2, 3, 4 skin.
I used to love this character in Thunderbirds. I tell you, when he used to come on,
and his little sidekick was called Kirano.
Oh, well, you got a memory, bro.
Yeah, man. When he used to get the headaches, he was like, "Oh, Kirano." No, because he could control the guy. Remember the Chinese? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How's the light up in it? It's a light.
Yeah.
You tell me. But even look, but if you check it, even the complexion is the same, isn't it? Look at the complexion.
Same, exactly the same, man. It's just he's trimmed down his eyebrows so that we don't detect him. But we know who you are, Savage Javid. Yeah. That's brilliant, Tony. That's too funny. Too funny.
Let's see what we're gonna see what he's gonna be saying. But he, as you said earlier, that he pointed out that July the 19th looks to be on, and the lockdown will be lifted. He doesn't see any reason why that's not going to happen. So,
hold on, Tony. I've just got a private message just come in. Hold on, let me just see who it's from. Private message reads, Tony, can you please ask the Hood where he got his eyebrows from? Because I've been trying to get that Brazilian. Share the color. So there's a woman sitting down. Them eyebrows, you know. Love you, ladies. We love you. We love you. We love you. We love you. Oh my days. Wow. So look, some of the comments. He's hoping we won't recognize him as the former chancellor. Brilliant. In other news, wow. In other news, Tony, what can we say, man? We've had again, ladies and gentlemen, some sad news, man. One of our leading film producers, makers, an all-round wonderful human being, Melanik Shabazz, passed away yesterday. I found out today while I was in a meeting, and I could not believe it. Absolutely shocked. The Barbados-born producer, educator, and writer was a pioneer of the development of independent Black British cinema, famed for such movies as Burning an Illusion back in the 1980s, which told our story in such a visual and powerful way. Later on, he also created stories around the genres and the things which really meant a lot to us, such as the Lovers Rock story, which if you haven't seen that, is a fantastic documentary which does the whole genre of Lovers Rock a tremendous service, I should say. Also, again, Looking for Love was another film that he made, documentary that he made, which was again examining the pluses and the minuses of Black love from a British UK perspective. I know most recently he was working on an animation, I do believe, as regards to oh gosh, it slipped my mind, but like as regards to Egyptian stories and folklore. But yeah, an absolute big loss to UK Black independent filmmaking and telling of our own stories, and he will be surely and dearly missed. Melanik Shabazz, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure what's happened with Tony. It might have been an emotional moment for him, or he's had some technical problems. We do have a guest later on. Again, I just want to say to our viewers, do any of you remember Melanik Shabazz, and have you watched any of his films? You know, what's your memories of this great man? Okay, so Alison says, on this journey, love had to rear its head, and that opened the door for the love story which took over and now drives the story. It was now a movie which I never saw coming, so here I am standing in the palace of my dreams. The question is, can I afford to live in a palace? Now I'm shooting the film in stages, being creative with a team of talented actors and crew members. I'm in the midst of making this film, shooting as I can afford. Support the film. You too can help and support by giving a donation, I do believe. So yeah, this is again, oh man. So again, it seems like he was in the middle of actually creating a new film, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm just hoping that the people behind that film, who are still working on that film, can actually complete it. Obviously it won't be the same without Melanick's final vision on it. But again, I think we really have to support this man's legacy, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that whatever he was creating at the moment can be completed. His website, if anybody wants to go onto his website to see what other stuff he's done, is Melanick, MENELIK, Shabazz, SHABAZZ.co.uk. Wow. Alison says also, rest in eternal peace, gone too soon, legacy to live on. Karen James says she remembers the film Burning Illusion. Carolyn says, I saw the film at cinema, bought the DVD. My second cousin, his friends were in it. His dad was in Burning Illusion. Man was a legend. May he rest in power. Absolutely different. Definitely. I've got to say that my experiences with Melanick was, again, he was the first person who put me in a documentary or a film. He called all of our comedians into the making of the Lovers Rock story, and again, even for Looking for Love. You know, he gave us opportunities where no other film director or producer was really looking at the talent pool of the comedians here in this country, and he just had a lovely way of bringing all of our talents, all of our stars together and giving them a platform to shine on. He made the Guardian news today. Such was his reach. Fantastic to see that. I'm just hoping that really and truly now they will show his films in tribute, especially the Lovers Rock story. Tony, did you ever manage to see the Lovers Rock story documentary that Melanick did?
No, I knew him from, or heard of him from Burning an Illusion way back in the day. I believe he made a couple of sort of short documentary films, didn't he? Before
he did.
Yeah.
I mean, let's start with Burning an Illusion. We're talking, what is it, 1982, 1984?
Yeah.
Victor Romeo Evans starring it.
Yeah.
You've got a soundtrack which absolutely captures the energy and the effervescence of the black society at the time, and it was just so good to see. You know, because you got to remember in that time and era, the only kind of films that we were watching were either blaxploitation films, or if black people were in any films, we were either the criminals or the ones who died in the first 5 minutes.
Right. I think prior to this movie, I think we also I think this came on the back of Rockers.
Rockers, yeah.
Angela corrects us by telling us it's 1981 that this came out. Yeah, that's right, Angela.
1981. So there you go. Yeah. You know, obviously, of course, we had Rockers. We had Babylon as well. But you know, to independently make a film like that back in 1981. Phenomenal, because you know, like in this day and age, to make a film is not difficult, because everybody's got access to digital cameras now. You know, you could buy a broadcast quality digital camera for a couple of £1,000. Back in 1981, it might a decent camera to make a film might have cost you upmost of 15 to 20,000 pounds. You know, the fact that he did it off his own back is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Could we rightfully call him the father, or certainly the modern day father of British black filmmaking? Would that be?
I think we can definitely have him on that top level. Definitely, you know. I mean, there may be other people. I mean, of course, we talk about Steve McQueen now. Yes. In such a great format, but again, you know, people like Melanick have been, as we said, been doing this since 1981 independently. You know, not with money from BBC, not with money from Channel 4, not with, you know, money from Netflix. And again, because of that, he was able to tell the stories with authenticity and integrity.
Yeah. Unlike, of course, Steve McQueen, who basically had, you know, has his hands tied and had to have sort of, you know, agendas attached to his storytelling. Menelik, being independent as he was, could tell the truth as it was.
Yeah. And the ironic thing, Tony, was that I was in a conversation with a comedian, Rudy Liquid, yesterday. Yesterday morning, not in fact, it might have been Sunday. Rudy was due to interview Menelik Shabazz yesterday on his show.
Oh dear.
So just and this is why, ladies and gentlemen, we have to have programs like What a Week, Rants and Bants, where we can interview our own people before it's too late. So that another day or 2 days or a week earlier, the whole of this man's legacy probably would have been captured or being brought up to date in that interview. And now another great legend has gone, man. Oh man.
And as you said, Mr. C, you know, lessons learned from this type of story is that, you know, we have to give flowers to those people while they're alive, especially these individuals who pioneered and paved the way for the new generation of filmmakers or artisans. Sometimes, unfortunately, for some reason, we allow them to slide under the ladder and you know, under the radar rather, and only when they pass away then we're able to sort of look at their career. So it is very important that we pay attention to these icons in the community in order to give them their tribute, to give them their flowers while they're still around.
100%, Tony. Well, I couldn't agree with you anymore, man. It's, you know, I'm looking at his picture and I still can't believe that he's no longer with us. Our thoughts and condolences go out to his family, first and foremost. Again, those who have been working closely with Menelik over the years, from actors, TV crew, production, writers as well. And you know, there's so many people who he's probably mentored along the journey and given advice to as well. I know that each and every single one of you, like ourselves, are feeling it today. And obviously, if you've been family and friends, close friends and work colleagues, then you feel it a lot more than what we do. So again, Menelik Shabazz, an absolute legend. Please, if you could, as I said again, go to his website. If you could probably buy one of his films, or whatever, it may help to go to the legacy of his children and some of the other projects that he's working on. We'll find out some more information from those in the TV industries as regards to how we can assist and support his legacy, and we'll keep you updated with that via MediaNet Live TV, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Angela. Pharaohs Unveiled, that's what he was doing the documentary on. Yeah, Pharaohs Unveiled. Oh man. So sorry, Karen James is saying that's why we give big respect to you guys for these shows, like What a Week, Eddie Nestor, No Joke, and Rudy Liquid for putting for platforming these legends. So true, so true. And this is what we've got to do. If we don't platform, as Tony says, if we don't give the roses to our people while they're here and they're alive, then who else will? Who else will? So, guys, whatever good stuff you got to say about Tony now, say it now. Say it now. Say it now, man.
Mr. C, we're going to be off for a good 2.5 months. You never know what can happen.
Yeah. Before he gets snapped up by Trevor Noah and gets taken to America.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh boy.
But yeah, in other news, of course, Wimbledon is happening. The young I forgot her name now. The young tennis player, the young black lady who was supposed to be performing today. Does anybody know how she got on?
Is that Coco? What's her name?
That's yes.
I can't remember her surname now.
Yeah, because I've got the Williams sisters ingrained in my brain.
The new school.
Yeah. Coco Graf? Is it Coco Graf?
Yeah, it's Coco Graf. Yeah.
Coco Graf. Yeah, man. I like her spirit.
Yeah, man. And Naomi in it, Naomi Osaka.
Yes. So we can see that, sometimes when we have breakthrough people in certain unorthodox sports or areas, they inspire others. They inspire others, man. Be interesting to find out how many new filmmakers were inspired by the likes of Menelik Shabazz. Excuse me.
And the thing is, we got this news quite late, didn't we? Because a shame, because I think Marlon Palmer of Kush Films would have had something to actually say.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
about his influence.
100%. It was from Marlon's WhatsApp group that I actually found out the information. So, and again, it was pretty late this afternoon when I found out. But yeah, mate. Yeah. He this man was the first man who made me see myself on the big screen.
Right.
2 million people marching at the Freedom March this Saturday, shut down central London. Still not much on Sky News other than mentioning certain other groups that were there. But again, so much censorship, and I hope they don't pass the internet bill here like what they have in Canada. We'll talk about the internet bill. But again, the Freedom March. I mean, I looked at that. I can't believe that it wasn't on TV. It was.
Well, you know what? I was saying today to someone, I was saying that shows you, if you're not convinced that the media are in on this whole thing, that should convince you. I mean, that is news. And there's no reason why the mainstream media shouldn't have been covering it. But they won't, right? So what does that tell you? What does it tell you when you have a one-sided narrative and no opposing arguments are allowed to be put forward, no demonstrations are allowed to be shown, no opposition can be aired? You make your own mind, whatever your views are on this whole pandemic thing, but just the way it's being covered, I think is suspicious.
Definitely. Well, look, we've got a special guest, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to bring him in. He also worked on a few of the documentaries that Menelik Shabazz had created. He's a good comedian, but even more, he's a very good friend of mine. Please, ladies and gentlemen, can we welcome the Cockney Prince himself, the Beiju Cockney Prince himself, Quincy, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Round of applause for the great man.
This guy.
I was just going to say he's coming home, but it's going to be, when it comes home, it's going to be sold off by this current government.
I noticed you dropped the Bajan out of your name today. Usually it's the Cockney Bajan Prince, isn't it? But now
no, it's always been Cockney Prince. You know, I mean, every now and again, depending who's comparing the show, they add the Bajan in there. Obviously, I always big up my Bajans, and obviously, it's something that is ingrained in me. But the Cockney Prince is something which has been given to me. I didn't actually give my name myself that, but for some strange reason, black people seem to think I talk like a Cockney. So it is what it is, son. It is what it is, son. And today I was a proper Cockney when that goal went in. I was having it large.
Yeah, was you jumping up and spilling beer? Was you? Oh, then again, I forget. Quincy, you're fine. Did you spill your red wine?
I threw the Merlot. Oh my God! Do you know what? I ain't gonna lie to you. I was more happy that Raheem Sterling has turned up and represented, considering the flack the the same British media who you're just talking about, who won't share thousands of people marching over the weekend, and he shut them up. And this is why I actually tweeted before I came here. I just said, yeah, it's coming home, but it's going to Jamaica first.
Why are you trying? Why are you trying to upset the English people for, Quincy?
Yeah. Sometimes you got to let them know. You know what I mean? It's amazing when you put a bit of colour to white, isn't it? So what happens, isn't it? What happens?
Come on.
See, I think the last game, when Sterling scored, and then the picture they had Sterling's back to the camera and all the other players hugging around. They say, "No, great England." So they criticise him. He scores a goal, but he doesn't really get the plaudits when he does. Same thing happened today. You see, remember we were watching it.
It was.
When at the end of the game, they were all focusing on Harry Kane has turned up. And maybe 20 seconds, because we were counting it. Let's see how long the camera will be on Sterling. In about 20 seconds, they moved on.
They even listen. This shows you how the media is so biased. Because Sterling, he lost the ball where Muller nearly equalised.
Yeah.
And I don't think the camera was actually panned on Muller. It was panned on his reaction.
Yes.
And it was like I was praying every Selassie.
Every second of that ball moving.
I was like, please. I was like, Kyle Walker, I know you're dual heritage, but this is right now. You need to be black and catch that bread up. He was catching it, He was, my man, proper slave feet.
But you know what? All I can say, it had nothing to do with the Caribbean. What saved Raheem Sterling? Our African brothers and sisters stepped in and said, "Now watch this. The ball, you got that side."
There was a couple here. There was some dark horses from all around. No, I was glad it happened.
I was about to cry. Like this was going to cancel out his goal, wasn't it?
And you could see it. But no, you could see the reaction that he had. He did exactly the same thing as the German player who missed near enough. Yeah, because that's how great he knew the weight, the gravity of that. Come on,
he would have been crucified.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't want to make it about the football, but I think I look at the bigger picture. I think there's a lot of this team here for the last couple of years. Gary Southgate, he has seemed to show it represents England what we've grown up in. Even like the white players, they've moved with in black culture, the music they listen to, how they
hairstyles,
their dress,
it all.
You know what I mean? Even how they speak. And listen, there was white guys in there with no haircuts. They were fades. Yeah. Luke Shaw had a fade. Yeah. Grealish has got a fade. So for me,
all of their barbers are black or of Commonwealth heritage. So it's either HD cuts, who cuts most of their hair, or the other one is A-Star Barbers, or I think he's Turkish or something like that of origin. So those are the two main barbers for most of the Premier League footballers and the internationals.
Yeah. So
and once one of the black guy gets his hair cut, next thing you know, that they're bringing the English players to get to the same person to get their haircuts.
Well, there you go. You know, Dwight York was the reason why David Beckham came roll his hair back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember that? And that's when you know that the white guys, David Beckham, even though everyone likes David Beckham, that's when I realised he's got more money than sense, because he paid £250 for that haircut.
Yeah.
Wow, hairstyle, yeah.
£250 for getting hair came rolled. I mean,
I thought the reason why David Beckham was influenced by Dwight York is because when he went and shagged the Posh Spice.
Yeah, that was good. I think they met. I think it was out somewhere. I think they actually met. Yeah. I think because David is quite shy, and I think Dwight is being a Caribbean and a real Trinity born. But they say, go and talk to the girl, boy. Go and talk to her. Talk to her, man. Talk to her. She's a good girl, man.
Dwight used to go carnival and come back late for training, and all Ferguson the hair dryer for that, man. Or leave him at the team. Because Dwight and Andy Cole, them man were terrorists.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Good, man.
Yes,
So look, Quincy, obviously you was in one of the documentaries with Melanick. What did that mean to you when Melanick gave you that call and says, "Look, I'm making a documentary film. I want you to be included in it." How did you feel?
It wasn't actually Menelik who called me. I think it was Judith or yourself, who called me.
Okay.
But I remember meeting him. We filmed my scene, our scene, because we was in this, me, you, and Peter Francis, were Frederick, sorry, were
Bernie Grant Center.
Bernie Grant Center, and I remember when I met him, and at the time, well, before that, I was working for the BFI, and I remember watching Burning Illusion for the first time. When I was, because this is why I got the sack, because I was working at the BFI, I watched bare movies, and I was like, rah, because obviously BFI kept a lot of vintage movies from back in the day, so there was this one corner where there was like bare black documentaries and films from all around the world, and I saw this little section, and I remember at the time obviously watching Babylon, Black Story, and I saw Burning Illusion. I watched it at lunchtime. And my lunch extended to an hour and a half in the film was for so and I remember like this is like you were talking about earlier on, for the time he made that movie, it was just so, I just sat there and I was like, oh my god. And I remember being just starting out on the circuit, so move like years forward when I came to the Bernie Grant Center and actually seeing him. It was like me when I first met Felix Dexter and Curtis and the guys. It's like, right, I've watched these guys on TV, or these guys have been a part of my older cousin's generation, where I would say Black Unity was at its height in the late 70s, mid 70s, early 80s, and when West Indies used to be good back then. And I was gassed when I met him, and then. To add to my gasness and meeting Menelik, to find out he was Bajan, and it was like rah, because back then I don't think Rihanna was even born, so it was like, so it was like for me it was like there's a Bajan guy who's representing, and I remember him saying to me at the time when I was in Bernie Grant, he would say, speak about Lovers Rock from a Bajan perspective. Wow. And he didn't give me no script. He just basically just speak about Lovers Rock and what it meant to you, and or reggae music. And I remember when I was in the story Lovers Rock, I remember him telling you guys, we were talking about the kind of Lovers Rock or what it was like, and I said I didn't grow up. I didn't play Lovers Rock in my house because it was too close to reggae. And my parents used to tell me, take that off. And don't play that. The closest to reggae my parents used to play in my house growing up was a Gregory. I found out about Dennis Brown after Gregory. It was a Gregory Isaacs. But yeah, he said to me, just speak Bajan and just be yourself. You know what I mean? From a Bajan perspective. And he spoke to me in Bajan, like him and Dennis Bavell. Yeah, and it was like, right, I've got two legends around me, they're Bajan, and no one don't know. Got to pick this up. So when I see them, man, there, and I remember when I before I had done my play, Quincy Single Mum, I spoke to Menelik just early 2019. He was in Barbados then at the time, and I was saying to him, look, I want to take this show. I want it to get produced and all that. And he gave me a few words and advice. And the words he actually used as well is, I was talking about it, but I think I must have been beating around the bush. He said, "What do you really want? What do you really want? I need your help." That's Bajan for you. Yeah. What do you really want? I need your help. And he gave me some advice, and him and others. That was my first comedy play which I wrote. You know what I mean?
Fantastic, man.
So I will always I'll always would remember him for that, and being on that screen with the Stories of Lovers Rock, being at the LFT, place I used to work, it was even extra gleanest for me because there were people in there who worked there in the company.
They remembered when you got disciplinary.
Yeah, because there was a couple of days I threatened. I said, you know what, don't let me come back here for you, And then they saw me on the screen. They saw me on the screen. He said, how just happened? But yeah, it was. So for me, like, it's joyful that what he brought to our screens, or he brought to us as Black British, but it's also sad as well that here we are talking about a person, and this is why we the shows like what you guys are doing, and Rudy's and No Joke, and we've done Extra Time Fridays. You know what I mean? If we don't document our own people, no one's going to document our own people. And 100%. This is why I'll put this out 100%. I will forever champion people like Angela Marr. I will forever champion people like DJ Keithley and them man here. Because them guys are pioneers. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't be... Yeah, everybody's got their own kind of ways about them, which we don't like. But you know what? Celebrate them while they're here. You know what I mean? And I'll let people know right now. While I'm here, celebrate me. Yeah? Don't be sitting there... Don't wait till I'm on the wall like this. No, celebrate when you see me in the street. Just celebrate a guy on the stage like yourselves and that.
Well, all I can say, Quincy, is that all of our people who are watching today are celebrating you, and I know this because they've got little ticker tape going in the back of your thing, back of your screen.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
No, don't worry, man. It's all good. I like it. It's got that kind of that Buster Keaton kind of feel to it.
Yeah,
that kind of old black and white feel thing. Darling, I've got to go now. I don't know when I'll be back.
This guy. And Tone, I've got to say to you, man, I've never met you, but I've watched the show a few times. It's only because of doing other works. But you're a legend, mate. And the knowledge you spit is truly commendable. You know what I mean? And I would hate to get into an argument with you. You are James. Yeah, you are James O'Brien. You are Magnus Magnuson, and you need to be celebrated. So I'm taking my hat off to you. I can do that now because I've dyed my hair. Yeah, there's no shame in my. I dye my hair, and what?
Oh, bless you, bless you.
No, seriously, Tony, you are what the knowledge you spit. There were some things you said in the past on some of these shows. I've like, rah.
Like which one? Which one stands out for you? Which one out of all the stuff what Tony's been dropping? Tell me the one or two of them where you thought to yourself,
anything to do with the Windrush. So when those scandals are going on, and you talking about that, it was just There's always like a that I would just know the government have lost the documents, but then Tony would bring it from another level of, right, they've lost the documents, but here's the reason why. So it isn't more about what you talk about. It's you give you do a Columbo to it. You give the reason why the murderer murdered the old lady with the spoon in the head, and I think that this is why, Tone, Mr. Crossbow, I have nothing but respect for you. And it's, in a way, raised my game when I listen to people like you on my own radio show. Don't just come in on platforms like these and just chatting for the sake of chatting.
Bring down the facts, man. Bring the facts and show us where people can pick up the information themselves as well and look for it. Yeah. And it's not just about, because that's the thing with Tony, it's not just about his opinion, is that he presents all the facts. So that you now can go and source the facts yourself as well. You know?
And I will say this to you, Tone, as well, right? We're bigging him up because we're celebrating him. You're the only one I've seen on a StreamYard or a Zoom who's got books behind him who I actually believe reads them.
No, let's talk the things. Talk the things, man.
I see enough man in the Zoom with books. Bridget, you don't read them books.
100%. You know, say Tony's read every single one of them books behind his head. Yeah, and that's not even all of them, Quincy.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine.
Yeah,
Tony's got books. I've got trainers. This is why.
You understand?
I just moved them around. Like, every week I moved them around. So people the best of it.
He's not even in his yard. He's in foils right now.
I'm gonna say, I don't know. You got children, Tony?
No, bro.
Do you know what? I don't want to wish this on you, but don't have children, man, because your children be under pressure. What do you mean you got to be in English? What do you mean you fail your spelling test?
No, but it's true, man. Tony, you are the Indiana Jones of Black history, bro. You're like Indiana Jones. You go into the Temple of Doom and you find the artifacts. You're like the Raiders of the Lost Dark.
What was you like in school, Tony? Was you one of them used to like question every time history or RE used to come up?
No, honestly, I was just like a mess. I didn't take school seriously at all. I was reasonably intelligent, but joking all the time. I had to call my parents up to school. Just wouldn't behave. I just found school boring. And it's only when I left school, I actually started to buy books and read them.
Quince, ask him who he went to school with. Ask him.
What area do you live? Where are you from?
Acne.
You from Acne?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris Eubanks was in his school.
Shut
so you can imagine. Can you imagine Chris Eubanks and him in the classroom?
Yeah, Chris.
So you know what it is? It makes sense now because Chris Eubanks, he tries to sound how you speak.
Right.
Chris Eubanks uses words. He uses words which he's probably heard from you in school, and because Nigel thumped him his head a couple of times, he remembered it.
Yeah, but he can't remember who he heard it from.
Who he heard it from?
Yeah.
Chris Eubanks used some words on Piers Morgan one time, and I was like, that's not even in
the right
Cambridge.
Context.
That's in no dictionary. That's not even in a dictionary in Kush in the mountain. It was like he said it like the inquisitiveness. And I was like, what?
Yes,
to Piers Morgan. It's the inquisitiveness
of the questions that you're asking me.
Yeah, and
I find yes, it's an appropriate. Sometimes your ambitiousness is highly incipient.
And that's how he was talking. And what made it worse because he was saying long words to make his lisp sound even worse. So it was like the inquisitive.
Make his lisp even more lispious.
Yeah, lispious. I was like, this. If he keeps on talking, he's gonna straight turn into a reptile.
I the more he's talking, the more the cameraman's just doing this. Oh, friggin' hell, mate. Oh, come on. Stop it, Chris.
Do me a favour, Chris.
Come on.
Do me a favour, Chris.
And it's funny because he was actually destined to be a boxer. Just like what you asked, like what was I like at school? He was destined to because he was a fighter. And used to get into trouble a lot in school. And yeah, he used to always get. At the time, I think it was a sports teacher named, if I can remember his name, Mr. Bucks. And he used to beat all of us, really. He used to get beat, he used to brush, he used to get beat. And Chris used to get licks. I had to leave school early. And then the next time I saw a poster of him having a fight, he's going to have a fight. And I thought, nah, he was destined for that. He was one of them man there who could run, fall on the floor, cut up his knee, leaves me bleeding. You just get straight back up and start moving again.
Do you know what? As you say that, right? So I'm going to say this now, right? And I know this is recorded, but outside of the comedy and stuff like that, I mentor and I look after some youngsters. And there's I won't mention his name because obviously for safeguarding reasons, but he's 8 years old. Yeah, little Ghanaian kid. Yeah, he's got a brother. This boy is so disrespectful and rude. Yeah, but whenever I walk in there. It's like I don't talk to him like a school child. I talk to him like he's one of my picnic.
Mm-hmm.
And today he was literally, he took the biscuit today, and I said to his mum that the school's letting him down
Mm-hmm.
because they've called me to go into the class and fix him up. This guy's always tussling, and I said to him, "You need to take your boy boxing."
Okay.
I said, look, I know that I'm not part of the school, but your boy, because there's one time, let me just check. There's one time I had to hold him, yeah, and it was like, when I had to hold him, it was like, raw. I had to
Restrain.
Yeah, I had to block. But let me tell you something. No, but I'm saying, look, the boy held me. He held me, and he gripped me. And he was naturally strong. You ever had a youth hold you to the point you got to give him respect? When I say I had to pick him up. And I said to his mum, take your boy boxing.
Yeah, man.
I said, and she watches this or whatever. I tell her I would take your boy boxing because sometimes
you got to channel it.
One, channeling it, but secondly, it's like we all find our lane in life in certain things. And as you mentioned about Chris Eubanks, and obviously watching his documentary, how he was with his brothers and really went to the Bronx and stuff like that. And like you said, he was destined to fight. He's found his lane. He found his lane.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Angela, the boy mashed me up. I ain't gonna lie to you. There was one time you know, like them things like click round here. You know, you tell a boy like, "Come here." Yeah. This boy, I got to use 2 hands.
And he's 8.
He's 8. I said to his mum, "Stop feeding this boy pounded yam and give him the process. I know what he's eating, but he's thick."
Oh, yeah.
He when he was born, he bypassed breasts, and he went straight to like buffalo breasts or something like that, mate. He bypassed titty, man. Went straight to the buffalo or elephant breasts, man.
Yeah,
8 years old.
And
because how much do you weigh, Quinn?
8 years old.
How much do you weigh?
Well, now about 18, between 17 and 18. And believe you me, when I tussle with him, because I mess around with him, he literally, I got a little sweat. It's like, what the hell? I can't. In 5 years, this boy. And I said, I'm gonna tell his mum, and I tell to any parent out there, sometimes some children are not designed for the classroom. Some children are not designed to be in an environment which is indirectly another pipeline, like towards prison.
Because what we got to understand is that with children and with people is that you've got many different areas of learning. So the curriculum is really only about reading, writing, but some people, they express themselves through movement, through energy. You know, for some people it's through voice, some people it's through sport, running. You see, so there's so many different areas which are neglected at school, and that's why those kind of pupils get bored. Like obviously Tony's, as he said, he was bored at school because intellectually it wasn't stimulating him.
There you go.
You know.
There you go.
So
I think we, as you know, those also parents and grandparents, actually need to sort of watch our children and grandchildren more carefully and watch their disposition, because sometimes as children we're forced into a mold that doesn't fit us. So our parents might tell us, "Well, you need to be a doctor or a scientist." Well, like you said, it's a boxer. I mean, that's the natural disposition. You've got to watch the disposition of your child to see what they would gravitate against. And then when you see what they're doing academically, as much as their classes where they're not very bright or very clever, you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
And I see it happen so many times as well, because even with some of the students that I'm mentoring at the moment, and this marketing and advertising thing, a lot of them have gone in, you know, they've been either lawyers, they're working in finance or whatever, and then they've come to a stage where they've done their degree, they're in a top job, and they feel absolutely lifeless. They feel like there's no soul in what they're doing, and then they go back to that creative nature. I suppose it's the same for yourself, Quincy, and even for myself. I mean, you know, when you was doing the 9 to 5s and all the other different jobs.
The system set up for us to work for someone, and that's how it's set up. And even in the school curriculum, you are working. You are being what's the word? Finessed into working for someone. Yes. There's no entrepreneurial mindset into life skills, right. and listen, they don't like me at the schools I go to sometimes. Right. I don't. Before I used to be blatant, like, you're taking the piss, mate. But now you got to like tell them and drop it in like how they drop it into us, like a dripping tap. Yeah. And every now and again, I put a parent to the side, regardless of their background. And I reckon we were all recognised because we've grown up in the areas where there was the off-key youth. And like I say, with this young man, he is someone definitely that I'll encourage his mum. When the gym opens up, I would take my time out and take this boy boxing.
Yeah.
Melrose says, not one of my boys have stepped out of line, and me are 5 from 21 to 3 years. Well, there we go, Melrose. So if any social services people are watching, please do a research on Melrose Christo. Yeah. She has 4 boys, which
and I know Melrose. I know Melrose because all her children are mute because he's thumping them out so many times.
It's funny one thing I've noticed a lot of, because I've done similar sort of mentoring like yourself, is a lot of particularly young black boys are very entrepreneurial.
Yes.
And I tell you why. The amount of boys that I've had to talk to who are selling drugs in school, right, is astronomical. So when I talk to them, I commend them, right? I commend them for their entrepreneurial spirit, that they're actually looking to make real money. I said that the problem that you have is your product. If you were to take that same mindset you have with weed and your grabber, right, and actually put that into something maybe like T-shirts or something legal, with the mind that you've got, you could really make it.
100%, man.
And a lot of them, they're in school. They're not really functioning in the school, but they've got their mind on money and ways of making it. And of course, in some ways, they're obviously influenced by people on the outside, but it's often the problem with the product.
That's right.
But the mind is spot on.
Well, my youngest son, he wanted to dabble in selling weed and everything, but he's also got a modern mind. So you've got all of these NFT things now as well. Are you familiar with NFTs? So you create like a picture, and then you can sell the image of that picture. So that's what he's been doing now. He sells weed, but he sells pictures of weed. He sells pictures of weed and makes money from that. You can't get caught. You can't go to prison.
It's idiot. I was this is the story time. I was like, is this brother criminal himself? Is Mr. C snitching on his son?
Oh, dear.
That's what it is, I think. There isn't really a major problem with our boys. What they need is channeling.
Yeah.
And nobody's channeling them. So as long as they stay on the path they are going to seem to be problematic. If somebody had a keen eye to say, you know what, like you said, this boy needs to do boxing. This person's more analytical. They need to be looking at maybe going the police or whatever it is, right? It's observing the youngsters and being able to channel that energy that they got, and you're not trying to make, a footballer a mathematician.
Yeah.
Right? You've got a lot of young boys who want to be footballers, but they're not footballers in reality. They just want to. But their gift and their talent is somewhere else. And I think as older people, especially parents and those in the family, we should watch them.
And definitely, and that's our duty, especially as we're all here on this camera, we're all men, but that's one of the duties for us as men, is to, because as you said correctly, Quincy, school narrows down your level of thinking and your vision of choice. But through talking to people like yourself, Quincy, and yourself, Tony, what happens is that young person's mind now sees many more different paths and choices what they can make, and smarter choices which they can make, which leads them on a better journey in life. And we need to have more men like the both of you, having contact with our young people, having contact with our young men, and showing them these different choices that they they're just not getting. They're not getting the right food. The young people's minds are not getting the right food, man.
Yeah, 100%. Well, this boy is definitely. Do you know what? I took pads into the school, and I've done pads with some of the boys and the girls as well. And I was told don't bring it in because some of the boys were taking it out on the teachers, messing around with them, and being boisterous. And I was like, do you know what energy they are putting them on that pads? How much they love it. Have you seen their faces? And before you encourage it, and I was told not to bring it in. You know what I mean? And I stopped for a little while, and then the woman who told me not to do it fell ill, and so I conveniently brought it back.
Quincy, you poison she?
Huh?
You poison she?
I put a little COVID in she tea. all of a sudden, I start making certain members of the staff tea. You want a cup of tea, love? A cup of tea? Or some COVID related tea?
Yeah.
But, so no, it's definitely just thinking out of the box with these young people, because it's proven our governments, well, in this country, I know they wouldn't mentally be there, but I look back at these children now in this generation, I feel sorry for them, because they have, and this is why you said earlier, us as parents, as elders, we need to be nurturing our children more. And I'm not the perfect parent, but what's happening? You've got teachers teaching children who are taking orders but not even questioning the orders, which is, and you want to teach children.
Yeah.
So like when I, like, for example, if a child is off or has got symptoms or whatever, the whole of the bubble, the whole of the year goes off. Yeah. So and like what they're trying to say to us is that when the children are together in the club or whatever, keep them in their bubble groups. So I said, okay then, give me your reasonings for that, because it's that's the rules. The rules by who? And I always try and push it, and it's like, well, that's the rules we've got to abide by. But I said the reason why you're abiding by the rules, if you don't question those directions given to you, because these same children, they're children. They're going to leave and go in a park, or they're playing in a playground together. I'm not governing that, because there's no science behind that thinking.
So where are you working now, Quincy?
I can't say where I'm working now. I'm working in a couple of schools. As in what? Mentoring wise. If a safeguard, I can't mention that, but
not the actual names of the schools, but you know.
Oh, and also for furlough reasons. I'm joking. I'm volunteering. I'm alleged. What I was just told you to guys was a preparation for a comedy set.
Rehearsal.
Yeah, this is called a new material night.
Right. But you made a very good point there about, when you go to schools and you've got your idea about how you're going to deal with the students, and then teachers will come along and say, "Nah, don't do this, don't do that." They kind of get in the way of an effective practice that you're doing with young people. I had a similar experience when I was teaching the history, and I was teaching something similar to what we're talking about on the show. and the deputy headmistress, who's a black woman, said, "Nah, you can't teach that." So I had a class, and and they were real. You know, obviously, you can imagine first time they're hearing this, they were all into it. And yeah, I got a lot of opposition from the deputy head. And sometimes you find that sometimes you might have to do things quietly to help these young people, because if it becomes known to the wider staff, you know, all of a sudden someone wants to talk to you and say, well, that's not on the curriculum, we don't teach that here. You see, because you find out a lot of these schools have a one-size-fits-all mentality when it comes to all the students, where I believe, especially black boys specifically, they need a specific type of approach when it comes to their education and their learning. And they can't be treated like other pupils. You find that
100%, man. That's all you okay, Quince?
No.
It's the fan. That's what it is.
Oh, that's what it was.
I plugged it out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to do things quietly with some of these students. Otherwise, you know, schools start want to talk to you and start telling you, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. So that's sometimes.
I think what it is I mean, look, at the end of the day, from once we're working in the school, we're having to find different strategies of how to reach our young people and how to have effect on them, because the system is set up that way to challenge anything which takes them off that path which has been designed. That path has been designed to dumb you down and to make you subservient for a working situation or a working environment. It's dumbed you down so that when the government says you need to wear a mask to do this, that, and the other, you'll just do it blindly and not even question the fact that, well, hold on, this thing can't really protect me from nothing, because, you know, have you seen the mask what they wear for Ebola and God knows, and have you seen the mask what you wear if you're painting something, and you telling me to put a little fabric thing over my, and this is gonna, that don't make no sense. But because you've been through a whole education system of just not even questioning the reasoning behind things, as you're saying, Quincy, it makes it very easy now for you as an adult to become compliant. So when you have people like yourself and you, Tony, in that school system, you have to always think that no matter what you try to present to them, they're always going to try and be resistant to it. So, you know,
and it saddens me as well, because people think that when you question something, you're being disrespectful, and you're not being disrespectful. You're just like, make me understand your thought process behind what you're trying to tell me, or you're trying to tell these individuals. You know what I mean? And if we, it ain't just a black thing, is if we had society who question things, we wouldn't have this government right now.
Yeah. Well, see, but that's the thing, though. You see, once you question somebody, like as you said, you question for better understanding. However, once you've been miseducated, when somebody questions you and you don't have no understanding yourself, it brings confusion to you. So that's where the anger comes in. It's like, well, I don't know. It's just how it is. They become embarrassed because they don't know the answer themselves.
Yeah, you've got to love the youngsters when they do ask the question, why? Why do I have to do it? You know, their critical thinking is being utilized.
And that's one of the main problems what a lot of schools have with especially young black children, is because we come from a nature of understanding things. We look at things and understand things. We feel things and understand things because it's innate in us. So when a child from that essence hears something which doesn't make sense to them, and they'll, yeah, but miss, why? And then because of that embarrassing situation now where the child is asking an adult something and they don't know, that's where they get angry, get out of my classroom. All of the adult does misdirection tactics. This child is troublesome. It's really the adults which are wrong, not the children.
Do you know what? As you're saying that, it culturally and historically, if we go back to Africa, you know what I mean, there are tribes who live amongst the wild animals, and you don't even the tribes know that over there is where lions are. I have no reason to be going over there, yeah, unless I roll with some man. The lions, the king of the jungle, knows there's some brears over there. Let me just stay around here with the buffalo and the zebra. Them leave them man there to it. Have you seen that clip when the three guys when they take the meat from the lions, and it shows the braveness, and they walk. It's like they walk in unison towards and the lions look at them like saying, "What the fuck is?" They don't see each other, and it's like, but even then, it's more than them being strong. It's like they know we have only got 30 seconds, like a bank job, to take this meat for the lions to realise what the hell is that and bounce before the lions yam them. And it like I said, what you're saying, anyone, naturally, from nature, we've questioned ourselves where to go, forbidden land. Like, we just question it. Okay, then I'll go to that part of the country or the land, but why am I going over there? What's over there for me? You know what I mean? So for me, is more people need to question things and understand it. I think black people naturally question. We never question it. I mean, I questioned, Mum, why can't I go into the living room? Why can't I go into the living room? Right? And then your mum and dad explained it to you, and then you woke up and then you tried to remember what you said. Mum, Dad, why is it all the time when family from abroad come over, you bring out the cutlery, the good cutlery, and we got to eat off this plastic shit for the rest of our lives? What was going on with that, Mum? Well, the reason why, yeah. So you know what I mean. No, I agree. I agree, and I think that is something that society needs to just question and point out to our so-called leaders. And it's not just our leaders in this country, our own African leaders.
Yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, but again, when we see some of our African leaders, when they do speak up, they lose their jobs, don't they? What was the name of that lady, Tony, who was talking about the African Union and everything, and literally they sacked her, man, like cowards.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name. What a powerful woman.
Yeah, I remember. Did she call out? She called out the French or something. She called them out.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. She called all of them out, all of them and everything, and all the behavior out.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know,
they never see. She lost her job, but if our African brothers and sisters were of unison, that wouldn't have happened.
Well, what we got to remember is that a lot of the African brothers and sisters, same with a lot of the senior Caribbean politicians and everything, where were they educated, and who were they educated by?
Yeah, I get that. You know what I mean? But we were educated here, but we think different.
That's why we're not in politics, my brother.
We are in politics every day, mate. We're in politics every day without us realising it.
Not me, master. I mean, I do no politics.
Yeah.
I deal with truth and rights. When I do with no politics, truth and right.
You've got children, so that means you've met women, so you've dealt with politics in your life. Yeah, you don't realise it.
No. That's a different kind of
politics.
Politics, yeah. Pali was full of tricks. I know me have 3 children.
So we've got a couple of more minutes before we go. Have you got any projects coming up that you want to tell us about, or where we can find you?
Yes, I'm on Supreme Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
What time?
So Mondays is Marathon Mondays 7 to 1 in the afternoon, which I always have 6 hours of conversation, music, and then on Wednesdays, up close and personal Wednesdays. Tomorrow I'm doing my own tribute, which will be coming on from 10 to 1. Old school Thursdays, more music, less chat, nothing after the year 2000. And Extra Time Friday, which is basically the show which I did on the YouTube. And I'll let you know
show.
Yeah, I'll let you know right now. yeah, watch this space, yeah, because during the Extra Time Friday, I learned so much. I'm just looking at some studios, and it's coming back, mate.
Wonderful, man. You got a world exclusive there. Fantastic, fantastic.
And lastly, I'll just say this: as you talked about Rudy, I was talking to him today. He was supposed to interview Melanie, yeah, on Monday. This is why I'll leave on this. This is why we need to champion our own people, because there was an artist called Ty Malone, and Extra Time Friday was the last performance he done.
He died the following week. Yeah,
he died. He died the following, the couple of days after. Young man, and I heard from his mum and his friends. So people watched that show because I took myself out to contact him and say, heard him sing, come on the show. This is what the platform is all about. You know what I mean? And he's now documented in his own kind of song. So keep on doing what you're doing, guys. You know what I mean? And it's coming home, son. It's coming home.
Yeah. Well, Quincy, thank you so much for your time today, my brother. We wish you all the best in what you do. Even more so, we wish you more success than England in the Euros 2020 championships. However, it's come to that time, mate, where you, like the Germans, you gotta go. Take care, my brother, man. We'll catch you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your round of applause and love for the Cockney Prince himself, Quincy.
For sure.
Oh, mate.
Catch you tomorrow morning, bro.
So we've got to that time of the evening, a little bit over time, but
I just want to say, management, there's been a request from a Zora Johnson. She would like to get hold of us. So if management can message Zora Johnson and give her the contact details, please, I would really appreciate that.
It's not the Matt Hancock hold of us, is it? No,
it's all good. It's all good. So, Tony, our final show of the season.
Yes.
What have you got for us to ponder on, to think about, and most importantly, to be inspired by? Over to you, sir.
Okay, so before we start, we have a quick message, and we'll be right back.
One Love Lottery is a new exciting weekly lottery established to help raise funds for our young people aged 17 to 25 and to generate community wealth in the UK. By playing One Love Lottery for just £1 per ticket, you also stand a chance of winning some amazing prizes, including our jackpot of £25,000 each week. Tickets are available from onelovelottery.co.uk or call 0208 183 1832 for more information. Draws are made every Saturday and you can play as many times as you like. Players must be 16 or over and reside in the UK. Please support One Love Lottery today. United we stand, divided we fall. One love.
And we're back. So, welcome to the viewers. If this is your first time watching the show, this is your first and I'm afraid your last time until we return in September. We'll give you the dates at the end of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But our Black History journey has taken us since last September, Mr. C. To now we've been charting the history of the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade, identifying them by nation, who they are specifically, where they come from, and where they're going. So if we can just have the first slide, Mr. C, let's remind our viewers of who they are and why they are by looking at their experiences as pointed out in the Bible, Mr. C.
So here we go. Reasons why Afro-Caribbeans are the Israelites of the Bible. They were transported into slavery by ships, Deuteronomy 28:68. Enslaved and oppressed for 400 years, says Genesis 15:13. Their identity would be stripped from them, Jeremiah 17:4. Foreigners would assume their identity. And where was that found in, Tony? Lamentations chapter 5 verse 2, Revelations 2:9, and also chapter 3 verses 9. They will be ridiculed as people, says Second Chronicles chapter 7 verse 20. Bottom of society, Deuteronomy 28:44 says. Galatians 3:13 and Deuteronomy 21:22 says they will be hanged from trees. And Deuteronomy 28:64 and Luke 21:24 says they will be scattered to different nations. And finally, in Deuteronomy 26:66, we are told that they will be in constant fear of their life. So these are the reasons why African Caribbeans are the Israelites of the Bible. Tony.
Thank you. Next slide.
Now, let me say something right quick. I think back on the African-American people in America. I think how that they were taken against their wills, put in the belly of ships, brought over here, beat, cussed. Many of them died in the guts of those ships, thrown overboard. They were pulled from families over there. You ain't never heard a gut-wrenching song. Do you hear a black person sing one of those old black Negro spirituals? Nobody knows. I can't sing it like that, see, because I hadn't experienced what they be. When you've experienced hell, it comes out of the voice. I said, when you experience hell, it comes out of the voice. If you're one of those people that you got problem with black people or whatever, you better shut your mouth, because they're God's people. You better hear what I'm saying to you. You better shut your white mouth. You better shut your white mouth. I'm not kidding you. I know some of you was raised in the deep South and you was raised by prejudiced people and bigoted people. You better get that out of your system. You better get it out of your system. It'll cause you to suffer right along with those masters. It'll cause you to suffer right along with them. These are God's people. And I know that there's wicked in white races and wicked in black races and all that. I'm not justifying none of that stuff. I'm just saying God knows what happened to the black race. He knows how they wound up over here. And God is going to reimburse the black people for all their trouble and all their labor. You watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you. Listen.
Always sends chills up my spine, Mr. C, when I listen to that.
Listen, man.
Yeah.
That needs to get played at every single church this Sunday. Every single church this Sunday.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And it's funny. It's a good point you made, because we were discussing last week, weren't we? Because I'm very interested in taking this message to some of the black churches out there, and so we're asking our viewers, if you have any connections or links with the black church, or you have a church that's quite progressive and forward thinking that would benefit from this information, then please feel free to get in touch with me or the pastor, leader of your church, who might want to listen to this information, because this is for our people. They need to hear this. Unfortunately, we only have a limited number of people watching this show, and most of our brothers who go to these churches have no idea concerning this information, and we really want to get this message out to them. So if you have any connections, any links to groups, churches, you could find me, Tony Crossbody, on Facebook or Instagram. Give me a DM, let me know, and let's see what we can do. So, Mr. C, for the last 3 weeks, we took a scientific journey, didn't we, to prove...
We sure did. You even had people like Jemmy absolutely mind-blown by your scientific research and fact-finding, Tony.
Indeed, I mean, it had me scratching my head when I first learned about it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it boosted your faith into believing that there is a creator. Let's have a look at the next slide, just the first slide too, just to remind us of a creator who's always existed, Mr. C, always existed. People can't grasp this concept because every time they think about anything, they always think about a beginning, that something always had to have a start. But we discussed a new concept that in the case of Almighty God, he never had a start because he created time. Time which has a beginning and has an end. In Genesis 1:1, we are told that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So when God started creating, that was when time began. Before that time, God existed. He was in existence before time. Therefore, using the first law of thermodynamics in science, which says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, the Most High God existed before time, therefore was not created, and created the universe and mankind on the earth for a purpose. For a purpose. Just as he created the universe for a purpose, he has created you for a purpose. When I say you, I'm not specifically talking about everyone. I'm talking specifically to the Israelite nation. He has created you for a purpose. Tonight, we're going to discover what that purpose is. We're going to look at what you're doing now. We're going to look at the purpose that God has for you. And then how are you going to move from that point on? So let's have a look at a definition of the word purpose, Mr. C. If we can have the next slide, please.
So from the Oxford Dictionary of Languages, purpose means the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists.
Thank you. So the reason for your existence, that is what we're trying to discover tonight. The reason for your existence. Many people around the world have pondered this existential question. Why do I exist? We're going to look at that this evening. We're going to look at why do the Israelites exist? What purpose do they serve? And how do you individually fit into that purpose? Next slide. Mr. C?
So from Romans 8, we find in verse 28, it reads, and we know that all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose.
Right. So notice this verse. The purpose of God for his people is tied into those who love him. Right? Obviously, there are individuals and amongst these people who don't have that love for him. So they don't fit in that purpose. But those who love him are definitely in his purpose. We're going to find out what that purpose is in a while. Next slide.
Big question.
But from a general point of view, what is your purpose in life? If somebody were to ask you, what is your purpose? Next slide. If we can go to the next slide. If somebody were to ask, what is your purpose? Most people say, Mr. C, what do they say?
Oh, I just want to be happy, you know. I don't want too much. Just need enough to get by, you know. I just want to be happy. As long as my children are happy and I'm happy, I'm happy.
Right. So happiness seems to be the destination that a lot of people are on. You see? But what makes one person happy doesn't necessarily make another person happy. Nevertheless, people in general are searching for happiness. It is that destination at the end of the rainbow that people are hoping to arrive at. The problem with this goal of happiness is that you have many forces, particularly from the media, which promotes this idea that you should search for your happiness in a particular way, the way that they want you to follow. Next slide. Mr. Slee, what is the definition of hedonism for our viewers?
Well, hedonism, the definition is the pursuit of pleasure and sensual self-indulgence.
So hedonism is said to be a Greek idea, and it's a Greek concept, but actually it predates the Greeks. It was always thought that for people to be happy in life, they must pursue sensual pleasures and self-gratification, regardless of the cost and the consequences both to themselves and to others. And hedonism has pretty much been, in the 20th and now the 21st century, the de facto doctrine of life. All you need to do is go onto social media, Instagram, and you will see hedonism all around you. Next slide. The idea that in order to be happy, you need to be rich. You need to be influential. You need to be the person that people look to as an example of a successful individual. This is tied into money, of course, which we're going to go into a bit of detail in a few moments. Next slide.
I just want to know, why is he parked up next to my plane for? Idiot. Move.
Hedonism also involves self-indulgent sensual pleasures, Mr. C.
Is that Trinidad Carnival?
Yes.
Oh, bacana.
The flesh. You see, this is what we are taught. This is what we are bombarded with in this Western culture about happiness. You see, entertainment plays a very big part in the lives of specifically our community. Or a lot of us live for music. We live for entertainment. This is part of the hedonism package that we have been sold as a means to find happiness in life. Next slide. The need for acceptance, social media acceptance. Who likes your pictures? Where did you go? Oh, wow, you must have money to go to those places. Oh, wow, you can afford a lavish restaurant. You can go for drinks. Many people want to be seen as living a lifestyle that screams, I have money, I am doing well.
YOLO, living my best life.
Living my best life. Next slide. Living my best life. So this is hedonism. This is the package of hedonism, which allegedly is supposed to bring you to this place called happiness. Now, there are many people in the celebrity world who are living this type of life. And some of them can actually tell us if this is going to make them happy. Angela says, don't put my shoe down the shows. Not just yours, Ange. Not just yours. So what do celebrities say about this hedonism lifestyle? Let's have a look at a quick video and let's see what they have to say. Next slide.
Suffering from chasing pleasure. Yeah, I used to suffer from that. Pleasure for me was my way of connecting with an external world that wasn't painful, distracting myself from an internal world that was painful. And you're supposed to have pleasure, aren't you? You're supposed to be having sex and eating chocolate and taking drugs and buying glorious sparkling trinkets and magnificent bronze crucifixes like a cardinal from a bygone age. But actually, pleasure, I mean, it is a good evolutionary tool to ensure that people have sex and eat food. But for an awakened person, pleasure is very limited in what it can do. If you stay present and aware, you might enjoy eating a strawberry or a lovely bit of cold Cadbury's chocolate out of the fridge. But on another, I've not ate chocolate for so long, you'll recognise that it's transient. Obsessing about sex or anything really that brings about momentary pleasure and distraction, but also gets webbed into feeling good about yourself in abstract ways, that too won't work. Other people's approval. What about when you get like if someone famous retweets one of my videos, I'm like, I've been retweeted by someone famous. Glory be. But on a deeper level, I recognise that I'm someone famous, and I'm normal, essentially, and that so they will be too, and that all people are the same. And that sort of idea that all of us are as a result of a sperm that won a little sperm race against millions of others. Well, in a sense, the variation that happens after that is kind of minor, even if you're trapped in some dreadful life of indentured slavery, or you're an opulent, pleasure-covered sultan. What's the difference, really? Just a flash of life. What I'm saying is if you make pleasure your idol, your goal, your focus, you will be living in illusion, because it's transitory, it lacks nutrition, it's nihilistic to believe otherwise. This is why I suppose I'm always going on again about not being atheistic, because I find it hard to underwrite purpose without a sense of ulterior meaning. But I believe in ulterior meaning, not a dominant sort of sky god, more a luminous, all-encompassing oneness that created all. Again, a little bit like this guy. So don't spend your time, waste your time pursuing pleasure. I've invested in that area in several ways, and on the other side of pleasure is usually pain. You'll note that from your own experience. When you pursue pleasure too much, pain, that's because there's some system beneath your belatedly evolved egoic systems that knows that pleasure outside of function is pointless. By which I mean, if it wasn't nice to eat sandwiches, no one would ever eat, we'd all die. But if you spend all your time eating sandwiches, it's a bit mental, and you feel sick and you don't feel valuable. And if you're happy eating sandwiches all day, then just eat sandwiches all day. Why are you even watching this video? Go and have a sandwich.
So the point there, Mr. C, and he's just one of many celebrities who've pointed out that even though they have the means to live a hedonist and have done, for some reason, the happiness that they were pursuing did not come about. Next slide.
I thought he went to the same school as Chris Eubanks for a while.
Next slide. Let's look at another famous individual who had all the money in the world that a man could have, and what he did with it and what he found. Mr. C, Ecclesiastes chapter 2, let's read what King Solomon had to say.
I said to myself, have fun and enjoy yourself. But this didn't make much sense. Laughing and having fun is crazy. What good does it do? I wanted to find out what the best for us during the short time we have on this earth. So I decided to make myself happy with wine and find out what it means to be foolish without really being foolish myself. I did some great things. I built houses and planted vineyards. I had flower gardens and orchards full of fruit trees. And I had pools where I could get water for the trees.
Thank you. Next slide. Let's continue.
I thought about all my hard work and I felt depressed. When we use our wisdom, knowledge, and skill to get what we own, why do we have to leave it to someone who didn't work for it? This is senseless and wrong. What do we really gain from all of our hard work? Our bodies ache during the day and work is torture. Then at night, our thoughts are troubled. It just doesn't make sense.
So isn't that an interesting point there, see, where you accumulate things in life, but somehow, whether it's death or old age, you eventually have to give it to someone who never actually worked for it. Sometimes even squabbling children who basically probably didn't do nothing for you right in your lifetime and look after you or do anything, but when they know that you're about to die, they circle looking for their inheritance.
Like vultures.
like vultures. And King Solomon is saying, well, what's the point in all of that? So hold on, I worked all my life, built this empire, this legacy, and now I've got to leave it behind to people who never worked a day in their life for it. This is meaningless. Next slide. Let's read, Mr. C.
Then I realized that we work and do wonderful things just because we are jealous of others. This makes no more sense than chasing the wind.
So here we have the original keeping up with the Joneses, right? Keeping up with those, our peers, our neighbors, right? Wanting to be seen to be doing well. Solomon says that this is nothing more than chasing after wind. Next slide.
Classic book by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Give up trying so hard to get rich. Your money flies away before you know it, just like an eagle suddenly taking off. Proverbs 23.
Saying good evening to Yvonne Michelle TV. Good evening, Yvonne. Nice to see you.
Also, Patrick Solomon, big up yourself, bro.
Yeah, big up, Patrick. Sorry, brother. Hope you're well. So that's a classic book, as you say. Yet the Bible seems to be discouraging people from getting rich, particularly God's own people. And we're going to see why that is the case. And whether or not, does the Bible actually encourage poverty? This will be interesting. And then we're going to get to purpose. You see, because a lot of people think that because the Bible speaks of riches seemingly in a negative way, that then what it's really saying is that God is pleased when you live poor and you're barely living hand to mouth. Next slide. Mr. C, what does the book of Proverbs say?
Proverbs 30. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food convenient for me, lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is the Lord?
So the interesting thing here is that the Bible is not promoting poverty, but it's equally not promoting riches. And the reason for that is that money in the system is viewed as a god. Why? Because it's powerful. It can open doors. It can get things done. And therefore, it is seen in many respects as a god. You've probably seen people say this. And God says, if you get to a stage where you're like that, you're going to say, well, money is my God. Who is God? Who is the Lord? See? And that is the problem that money creates. Pleasure seeking and seeking after money creates a division between an individual and his God. And we're going to see why that's important. Next slide. But you see, let's look. This is an experience now where Black Jesus meets a young man, a rich man, and he says that I want to follow you. Let's follow the account together and see what happens. Let's read that.
Okay, so this is taken from Luke chapter 18, and it starts. An important man asked Jesus, "Good teacher, what must I do to have eternal life?" Jesus said, "Why do you call me good? Only God is good. You know the commandments. Be faithful in marriage. Do not murder. Do not steal. Do not tell lies about others. Respect your father and mother." He told Jesus, "I have obeyed all these commandments since I was a young man." When Jesus heard this, he said, "There is one thing you still need to do. Go and sell everything you own. Give the money to the poor, and you will have riches in heaven. Then come and be my follower." When the man heard this, he was sad because he was very rich. Jesus saw how sad the man was, so he said, "It's terribly hard for rich people to get into God's kingdom. In fact, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to get into God's kingdom."
Thank you. So here we have a story of a man who wanted to be a follower. He was an Israelite, and he asked Christ, "What do I need to do?" and he was basically following the commandments. And Christ noticed something about him. What was it? Not that he was rich.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Go on, see.
That he was sad.
Well, why was he sad?
Because he had to make a choice between heaven and his money.
Right. So what the problem here with him was that he was too attached to his money, to his wealth.
Mm-hmm.
You see, he had either inherited that wealth or he had built it up. And Christ said that I noticed about you, you love money. Sell what you have and be my follower. And that is where that famous saying that it is easier to go through the eye of a needle than for the rich man to enter in the kingdom of God. Why? Because people who have built up their wealth are very proud of their wealth and they want to keep their wealth. In order to see the kingdom, people have to lose their wealth. They will have to lose their wealth. We'll talk about that in a bit. Next slide. Now, was Christ against money in general? No. You might be surprised to know that Christ was a multi-millionaire, Mr. C.
No, you know, I wouldn't be surprised, because I noticed that he started off as a carpenter and then afterwards he was able to move around and do his thing. So I just take it that Joseph, his father, must have set up IKEA back then. And that's why he was able to go on tour.
That would make sense on a comedy stage, but you know what?
I know you've got the real reason behind it, Tony.
This is not often spoken about because we know that Christ, when he was on the earth, he was poor. He was born in a stable. Oftentimes he had nowhere to sleep. He was homeless, right? And him and his disciples relied on donations as they were going up and down Israel preaching. But actually he was a multimillionaire. And actually I mean more than that, but multimillionaire, you get the point. Right? I'm going to show you why in this next slide, why Christ was a multimillionaire. Next slide. Let's read the underline there, Mr. C, taken from 2 Corinthians.
For ye know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, yet through his poverty might be rich, yet that ye through his poverty might be rich.
So the Bible says he was rich. So hold on, I was confused, Crossbody. 1 second. Well, just now you said he was poor, he had nowhere to sleep. So the Bible says he was rich. So how was he rich? Next slide. Mr. C.
Now, Father, give me back the glory I had before. I had with you before the world was created.
Thank you. So, Mr. C, when was Christ super rich and was elite level?
Before the world was created.
Before the world was created. So basically what happened is before Christ came to the earth, before he was born of a woman, Christ existed in heaven with his Father. His Father is the ultimate super rich, owns 100% of the universe, all its minerals, diamonds, gold. And his Son was clearly going to inherit that. So when the scripture says that he was rich, he really was rich. And in this verse, Christ is praying to his Father and says, Father, give me that back. Let me have that again, like I had it before I came here.
I think a good way of looking at that is, it's almost like if you look at something like mobile phone technology. You know, if you look at something like Apple, for example, that somebody created that. There was no Apple beforehand, but yet we all existed before Apple. we all had money before Apple. We all had things before Apple. But then now somebody's created Apple products, and now Apple have money and wealth. But the person who first created it was there before and had wealth before. And now they've got all that plus Apple.
So what was interesting, you see, about Christ himself is that when he spoke about money in a seemingly negative way, he wasn't talking about money like someone who never experienced wealth.
Mm.
He had already experienced wealth.
On a different level.
On a different level. A level that nobody's ever experienced other than God himself.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was literally ownership of the universe and all the material glory therein. So the difference is, you see, what Christ was able to do and what he was trying to tell this man is that you have to leave that behind. Christ left the glory that he had. He left the riches that were in his care. He left that to come to earth and be born poor, with nothing. And as you said, he worked as a carpenter and paid his way. His disciples were soul traders. They were fishermen, right? No great big job. And even they left their businesses behind to follow him. So what you see, is a pattern here of, yes, we have business, we have money coming in, but we are prepared to leave that. And being able to leave something means that you are not attached to it. You're not attached to the wealth.
I'm sure one of the disciples was a tax inspector, wasn't they?
Right.
So that would have been a very highly paid job back then.
Right.
Or a respectable job back then, yeah.
Right. So they left their money jobs. Christ left his lavish lifestyle to be born in a manger, to be homeless, to rely on the donations of people. And yet, interestingly, he could turn water into wine, feed 5,000 people, raise the dead, but yet never used his powers to create money or to be rich. Interesting. So we have a situation here where the Most High God and his son are super rich. His son left his super rich mansions in heaven to live a life on earth and was the example for all his followers to come. That is why when that young man said to him, "What do I need to do to get life?" After ascertaining that he followed the commandments and he was faithful, he said, "Sell what you have and follow me." In other words, I sold what I had to be here, to live amongst the poor, to live under an oppressed situation with these Romans oppressing us. And so Christ saw both sides of it. What it's like to be super rich, what it's like to be poor. And so there were times when he was walking around where people would come to him and say, "Oh, can you help me? I'm having a dispute. My dad has died. He's left all his houses, but I'm fighting with my family to get to basically get ownership of all these properties." It's something that we see a lot of this today, right? The parents die, they leave all these houses, and the kids are having civil war. They would often come to Christ and ask him to mediate on their behalf. Next slide. Let's read that account there, Mr. C.
A man in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to give me my share of what our father left us when he died." Jesus answered, "Who gave me the right to settle arguments between you and your brother?" Then he said to the crowd, "Don't be greedy. Owning a lot of things won't make your life safe."
So notice, Christ could have said, "Yeah, well, you're the firstborn son, so, you should get it." But instead, he used it as a teaching lesson to the crowd so that they should guard against greed. greed for possessions. And I don't know if you've heard of Mr. C, but I mean, I know a number of situations where parents have died and the siblings are fighting over and squabbling over the proceeds.
Mm-hmm.
At a point, where they're not even talking anymore, going to court and taking, and that for money. And this is, huh?
100%.
Yeah. And this is what Christ is saying to be on guard against: the love of money, not money in itself. Money in itself is not a bad thing. We need money to live in this system.
Well, that's the misquote, isn't it?
Right.
A lot of people say that that money is the root of all evil, but the actual quote is the love of money is the root of all evil.
Exactly.
So again, that's where the misquote is done and makes people think, and then they akin it to the same one what you said. It's easier for a camel to get into. It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven.
Right.
It's not actually talking about a rich man. It's talking about the process of the connection to the money, the love of the money, that whole mindset. That's what it's talking about. Right.
It's in a smaller way, Mr. C, it's like you bought, it's like you buying a brand new BMW or a very new BMW that you're very proud of. You party outside. You come out next day. What's that feeling you get inside when you see a long key scratch?
How did she find out?
I told her where you live. I told her where you live. But it's that feeling that you get.
Yeah. You see people lose their rag, mate.
You see? And that is an indication of their attachment to the materialistic. You see? And ever since we've all grown up in this system, whether it be our parents or family members or friends, it's always been about this idea of striving for money. Because money is seen as a tool of power, and in many cases, it is seen as a god. This will prove problematic for the Israelites if that is their mentality. Next slide. Mr. C?
Hebrews 13. Don't fall in love with money. Be satisfied with what you have. The Lord has promised that he will not leave us or desert us. This should make you feel like saying, the Lord helps me. Why should I be afraid of what people can do to me?
Right. So it just emphasizes the point that we've been making about money. Money in itself is not bad, but it's the love that we have for money that will become problematic. The love for money. In fact, Mr. C, we can have love for money even when we don't have money. Even when we're poor, we're broke. Right? And you can always tell with individuals because of how much they talk about it. See? Money seems to be the be-all of solving problems for a lot of people. And a lot of people are on this quest. They talk about building their empire, building their legacy, but this stuff is around money. It's around hedonism. It's around the purpose that we've all been given ever since we were children. Next slide. Mr. C?
For all can see that the wise die, that the foolish and the senseless also perish, leaving their wealth to others. Their tombs will remain their houses forever.
So you've seen the advert with Michael Parkinson.
Oh,
right?
Sun Life, guaranteed acceptance.
He has become the new face of death, right? For those between the ages of 50 and 80 years old, whenever you see his face now, he's reminding you, right, to buy your burial plot. But again, money cannot spare you from death. It can't. It is not a god in that respect. It is seen as a god because of the power it has, and it does indeed have a measure of power. but cannot rescue you from death. But it does something even more serious than that. It gets in the way of God's purpose for you as an Israelite. Right? What is God's purpose specifically for you? As we've looked at what the purpose of people in general is like in the world, this is what they're striving for. They're striving for the money, the prestige, the recognition, the validation, the likes, the need to be seen and glorified because of the money they have, and the need for them to feel good about themselves and bad about you if you don't have the money. But let's look at what God's purpose is specifically for you and me, and then we can see if and where we need to make certain alterations in our thinking. So what is God's purpose for you? Next slide.
Amos 3 says, of all nations on earth, you are the only one I have chosen.
So Israelites, you are a chosen nation. For those of you who are watching for the very first time, we have done over, let's see, 30 shows together where we've discussed this in great detail.
Definitely.
Of how we can prove the Afro-Caribbean people are indeed a chosen people, the reasons why they're at the bottom of society. You can go to MediaNetLive.tv on YouTube, and there are lots of episodes where we discuss this whole show. So we can't discuss it now, but it's all there. So God has chosen this specific nation. Why has he chosen them? For what purpose? Next slide. Mr. C.
I'm getting feedback, management. Sorry. Might have to mute the studio one. Thank you. Isaiah 49 says, I have placed you here as a light for other nations.
So the reason why you currently exist is that God's purpose for you is to be a light for other nations. What the implication of that verse means is that nations in general, the other nations, are in darkness. Why are they in darkness? Because they don't know God. He hasn't chosen them. He has chosen you for that purpose. Light means the bringing of knowledge and understanding. And he is going to use his people to bring that knowledge to other nations. That is why he has chosen you. Next slide. Mr. C?
Deuteronomy 28 reads, today I'm giving you the laws and teachings of the Lord your God. Always obey them, and the Lord will make Israel the most famous and important nation on earth, and he will bless you in many ways.
So, Mr. C, if Israel, this current day nation of Israel that exists, many of whom are watching this show, if they obey the Lord, what is the Lord going to do for them?
Make them famous and the most important nation on the world, on earth.
Right.
And he will also bless you in many different ways.
Right. So currently, this Israelite nation is not the most most famous, neither is it the most important. But it is the Most High's plan, his purpose, to make you that way. Next slide. Let's read.
Revelations 2 says, I will give each of them the same power my Father has given me. They will rule the nations with an iron rod and smash these nations to pieces like clay pots.
Thank you. So notice, so the Most High has appointed you, Israel, as a light to the nations, and any nations that do not obey, God is going to give you the authority to crush them. That is what it means to be a chosen people. You see, the reason why we're at the bottom of society as it stands as I pointed out many times before, is a spiritual problem. It's not a problem of money, investments, building schools, building homes, and uniting. The problem is spiritual at its root. You were chosen a very long time ago. Your ancestors broke the agreement. As a consequence of that, the Most High has put a judgment on his nation for 400 years of slavery and oppression, which has put them at the bottom of society, not just in the UK, but everywhere where they are found around the world, scattered in different nations. Nevertheless, because of your brother, the Black Christ, and his death, he has made it possible for you to regain what God has promised in the future. That is to be the most important nation on earth that is going to spread his light to the nations. I think it's so, I'm listening to myself saying this, and I'm just wondering to myself, how are the viewers understanding what I'm saying? Even I, sometimes when I say this, it's hard to conceive in your mind of what it must be like to be the most famous people in the world. Wherever you go, people know who you are, who you represent. Important people are rich. Important people are influential. That is part of the package that the Most High has promised to his people. The problem is that at this point, how does the Most High find them? In what condition does he find them as he has his message delivered to them? Next slide.
First Peter 1 says, don't let your lives be controlled by your desires as they used to be. Always live as God's holy people should, because God is the one who chose you and he is holy.
So the message here, Israelites, is this. Until now, we've been living our lives the way we want. Our lives, effectively, in many respects, has been around hedonism, sexual gratification, entertainment, and the pursuit of riches. The Most High has pointed out that chasing riches is a waste of time. Why? One, because you're going to die and give it away. Two, it is subject to inflation and economic crashes. And three, you, as Israelites, have no control over the money system. Other groups of people have control over that. So it's questionable whether or not you could ever develop generational wealth. But what the Most High himself promises, he has chosen you. And at a time when he makes you the most important people, he will ensure that you will be rich. That money will be gained in reparations that he intends to get back from the nations. That money he will give to you. But he can't do that if your life is distracted by hedonism. If your life is distracted by personal sexual pleasures, by chasing of material things. Those things distract you from developing a relationship with your God. It's impossible to do. What does the Bible say? You cannot serve two masters.
100%.
Because the time it takes to make money and make your empire and get all the material things you want and all the shoes you want and all the clothes you want and all the holidays takes time away from what is truly important. And what is that? It is the ability of your nation to rise, to be able to determine their own future, to be removed from the captivity and the oppression that they currently are under. And you personally can be a part of that. But it's very important that we look to the Black Christ and his example, that he was prepared as necessary to leave his wealth behind, to remove attachment to money, not to love money, love things. Next slide.
And not just the money as well, Tony. Sorry, but also you got to understand the immense power and ability that he had as well. You know, the wealth is one thing, but to have the power to do things, the power to understand creation and to create. You know, the power of somebody was to attack you to just finish them and not exercise any of that power as well shows a remarkable amount of restraint and control of oneself. So,
Indeed. Good point, Mr. C. And yet many of us, we pray to God for money. We pray to God, oh, Lord, please make me rich. Please make me have so much money so I can help all these charities. You know, we start with all these good deeds. I want to help the poor of the world. Please make me super rich. So God is never going to answer those types of prayers because they're not in harmony with His purpose.
It's not prayer.
What does Black Jesus tell us here?
Luke 12 says, "Also I say unto you, whosoever shall confess before men, him shall the Son of God, or Son of Man, also confess before the angels of God. But he that denieth me before men shall be denied before the angels of God."
Thank you. So Christ is basically saying here, look, those who follow my example, I'm going to bless them. Those who deny and want to follow their own principles, I'm going to deny them. And our view on material things is very, very important in the eyes of God. The way we look at money and stuff and the way the world promotes that to us is a distraction away from the real issue, which is, as His chosen people, He has chosen you. He will take care of your needs for now. And He promises wealth, glory, and honor in the future when He has turned this system upside down. How is He going to do this? How is He going to turn the system upside down? Next slide. Jeremiah chapter 50 and 51 goes into great detail about the coming destruction of the United States of America and their allies. Remember, Mr. C, we were talking in the last 3 weeks about science, and we were talking about why God is able to see things so far in advance, long before they've happened. Why? Because He has created time, space, and matter. And as the creator of these elements, He is able to control the future. And coincidentally, we now have a situation which is now being escalated as we currently speak in Ukraine, with NATO and the UK ships going into Russian waters. But the Bible tells us, can we just read that verse there, Mr. C? Jeremiah 50.
Far to the north, a nation and its allies have been awakened. They are powerful and ready for war.
So the Most High intention is to take down the United States of America. Why? Because of its involvement in the enslavement and the ongoing oppression of His people who are contained within its borders. The Most High intends to free you by bringing judgment upon the United States. The same judgment will come to the UK. And you will have to make a choice one of these days as to what you're going to do with your money and your material things, because where the Most High is leading you, you cannot take those things. Where is the Most High leading His people? Where does He want to carry them? Out of the UK, out of the United States of America? Next slide. Let's see. Mr. C?
They will live in the land I gave to my servant Jacob, the land where your ancestors lived. They and their children and their children's children will live there.
So the Most High has promised He has land for you. This is not your land. The Caribbean is not your land. The land that the Lord has in store for you is the land of your forefathers. It is situated between the Nile and the Euphrates rivers. That is where the Most High God is going to take his people. That is where he's going to take them. To take them, he's going to have to free them from the oppressive situation that they are currently under wherever they are in the world. That means if you have to leave here, all your assets, you would have to be prepared to leave behind. You can't take it with you. Next slide. Mr. C?
Isaiah 14 reads, "The Lord will have mercy on Israel and will let them be his chosen people once again. He will bring them back to their own land, and foreigners will join them as a part of Israel. Other nations would lead them home, and Israel will make slaves of them in the land that belongs to the Lord. Israel will rule over those who once governed and mistreated them."
So notice here that in this promise, God intends to bring the current generation of Israelites back to a land that he promised to Abraham thousands of years ago. They will return to the land along with foreigners from the UK. Those foreigners will end up working for you in jobs that you currently hold, which are servant jobs, service industry jobs, social worker, IT, nursery, nanny, catering, cooking, security. These are currently jobs that God's people hold in these lands around the world. But those jobs will be what the foreigners who accompany you back to the land, they will have those jobs. They will be in those support fields. You as a nation will be the most famous, glorious, richest nation chosen by God to shed his light. And other nations will end up serving you. However, how does the Most High use you if you are so distracted making money? If you are so distracted in sexual, sensual pleasures, in seeking out constant entertainment, in seeking out foolish distractions, how do you qualify for that privilege of being future rulers of this world? It's those hedonistic tendencies that we all possess that we have to address. And I'm not suggesting for a minute that you go to church. No, church is not the place where you should be going, since church is not teaching you this information. What you're learning in church is a white supremacist view of the Bible and interpretation, since in their worldview, Christ is white, God is white, and all the Bible characters are white. Therefore, they have no appreciation or understanding of who God's real chosen people are. But you do. So church is not really the place for you. Next slide.
Ecclesiastes 12:13 reads, everything you were taught can be put into a few words. Respect and obey God. This is what life is all about. God will judge everything we do, even what is done in secret, whether good or bad.
Thank you. So the question is, we started off is, what is your purpose, Israelites? And the answer is right there in that verse. Respect and obey God. That is what life is all about. Now, how do you respect and obey someone you don't know? You see, you might say, well, I know God. I know him in my church and I pray to God. But isn't getting to know someone, respecting them and loving them, doesn't that require learning more about them and their ways and their requirements? You see, many people say, well, I'm blessed. God's blessing me. but never take the time to know who God really is. You see, you only get to know someone the more time you spend with them. Find out their thought process. Why do they think like that? Why are they saying that? Getting to understand a higher form of thinking that can penetrate your flesh and alter the course that maybe many of us are currently on in a pleasure-seeking, hedonistic lifestyle. You can't just know God by thinking about him. He has given you something to know him. And as his people, he requires you to use it. Next slide. So, what is that? Well, in short, Mr. Singh, what are you going to say?
It looks like a Bible app.
It's a Bible app. And that is something that we have to start reading. Why? Well, for first and foremost, the Bible is your family album. It's your family history. Most of the things that I've been talking about here come from that. Your God, who has chosen you, wants you to know more about him, to develop a more closer relationship. He wants you to know how he thinks, how he feels. He already knows about you. But you need to know more about him. Again, I'm not saying go to church. No. What I'm saying is we need to get to know the Most High better. Don't presume with what you already know that is enough. Because God has certain criteria that he's looking for in his people to use them. If you are going to be future rulers of the world, you can't just come as you are. I can't just turn up as I am. There are certain things I have to address in my life that I see maybe are not quite in line with what Most High requires. I need to adjust that. You need to look at this in the same way, whatever it is you're dealing with. And it's good that you watch the show and we're all benefiting from sharing this interaction. But ultimately, your relationship personally with God is yours alone. Not mine, not Mr. C's, yours. So you've been chosen. You are part of his people. But will you personally qualify for rulership? That is going to depend upon your life course. Whether you think a hedonistic life course, pleasure-seeking, sensual pleasures, entertainment should be the center of your life, or should it be the only one who can free you and your people from captivity? This is a question only you can answer.
Amen. I'm so sorry, people. Absolutely fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause for Mr. Tony Crossbody. An absolute marvelous presentation as regards to the chosen people of the Almighty. Clear and a definite purpose and what needs to be done in order to follow and find that purpose. Absolutely fantastic. Tony, man, we all thank you. You can see we're thanking you individually, but collectively, we want to say thank you for your dedication, number one, your diligence, patience in presenting all of these gems to us, which has never been presented before in such a way and such a thoughtful way. As you said, you know, from the beginning of October last year right through to now, we're in near enough the last day of June. It's been a journey of 8 months. If you were to put that into school terminology, it's probably like at least the equivalent of like 2 or 3 years worth of school. The knowledge that you've given us, because some subjects at school you studied it for probably 1 or 1.5 hours a week. You've been giving us like an hour plus every week, so we thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we do need to make sure that we do our own research, that we continue our own studies, and most importantly, as Tony has said, that we continue to forge our own relationships with the Almighty, based on the teachings and also the discovery from what Tony has shared with us. Just knowing this is not enough. It really isn't enough. You have to put certain things into practice. You have to walk the walk, talk the talk, and live it. So I hope that you all have found something valuable from the insight that Tony has shared with us. I hope that you find something which you can, if not fully understanding all of it, that you will start having conversations with other people within your family and your friendship groups, and those within your church groups, most importantly, and find out what other people's thoughts and views are. But you know, this is information, it's a subject that needs to be discussed, and it needs to be shared on a much wider platform than what we have here at What a Week and MediaNet Live TV. Tony?
Yeah, we're going to be taking a break. We're back on September the 14th, Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Back on our show, we're going to take a nice little rest. And we're going to talk about how we're going to move things forward on this platform. So we hope you don't forget about us and do come back and join us. We hope you enjoy the summer. Not too much hedonism, right? And never forget who you are and where you're going. Your history is not hopeless. You're not going to have to fight for the things you require, such as reparations and freedoms and self-determination as a nation. You will receive those things. But we personally have to make sure that we're doing what we need to do.
100%. And if there are any ladies, single ladies out there who are having problems dealing with their hedonistic problems, then you can contact Tony Crossbody, who will apply holy water on your forehead and help you with the cleansing of your practices. Or you can call me and I will provide my own holy water and splash in your face.
Next minute, all scandalous news that, and he had a baby with that. The typical pastor. And he got 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for being with us on this magical journey, man. It's like we would never have, number one, have had the energy, the strength, and the diligence to do this without the Almighty, first and foremost. But again, we would never have been able to complete this journey without your support, ladies and gentlemen, each and every single one of you. There's so many of you to thank individually. You know who you are, from the very first viewers to the ones who have joined us most recently. We really, 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 from the bottom of our hearts, appreciate each and every single one of you. Tony, I think there's a few other thank yous we need to say as well. First and foremost, MediaNet Live staff, production team, management, Mr. Theo Ambrosius, or Mr. Theo Ambrose. We just know him as Boss, ladies and gentlemen. No matter what we throw at him, he always tries his utmost best to support and to relay our thoughts and our vision. So if we can give a special thank you to Theo first and foremost. Tony, other people along this journey?
Well, all of our guests we've had some very interesting people on here in the community. We think of well, we just had Quincy on, didn't we? I can't. What's the lady's name again with the One Love Lottery? Who was with us a few months ago? What was her name again? Oh goodness me.
Marlena.
Yeah, Marlena. That's it.
Marlena.
You know? And didn't we even have our own viewers doing a presentation on the show for our first year anniversary? That was great to see.
Sure did. Antigua and Allison, Phil, yeah. and
Angela. 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 Yes. Yeah. There you go. We do want to
Right Honourable MP Dawn Butler as well would like to give thanks for.
Yes, that's right. That's right. We do want to remind the viewers that actually we are going to be here next Tuesday and every Tuesday. For those of you who have missed the history shows, you're going to be able to watch the ones you've missed. I can't imagine that there's anybody on here who's seen every single show. Mr. C, I'm sure. I'm not sure if there is anyone on here who's watched it from the beginning, every show to now. But if you haven't, or you've just joined us recently or halfway through, we're going to be repeating the Black History shows from the very beginning, where we talked about Henry VIII and his connection to Hackney and all the Black Royals and so forth. And we're going to, every week until we return. On Tuesday, you'll find it on YouTube or Facebook.
There you go. There you go. Just for you. Just for you.
Angela says that she's seen every show. Wow.
Big up yourself, Angela. Okay, what was the first show? What was the first fact we did on the first show then, Angela? Here's a big one for you.
Don't test Angela. She knows.
I just want to say as well, while we're not here, ladies and gentlemen, I want to let you know something that myself and a few other fellow friends and associates are working on. Myself, Rudy Liquid, Lyndon Lumsden and Mikey Pereira collectively are putting on an event which is called Comedy Fest. It will be the biggest Black comedy festival which has ever happened in this country. We're going to do it on the bank holiday of August, taking place at Roundwood Park in Brent, North London. We will have a comedy show on the Friday evening, Saturday between 12 and 7, Sunday between 12 and 7, and also on the Monday between 12 and around about 6 o'clock. We will have fairground rides for the children. We'll have a community stage where all different nationalities and cultures will embrace in a performance. But we'll also have two other main comedy tents, one which will feature all your headliners, such as Slim, Kane Brown, Rudy Liquid, Steve K. Amos, Delicio Chaponda, Glenda Jackson, and a whole host of other comedians. And then we'll have a main stage where you'll see a mixture of certain other people, such as Ori Styler, Baba Tunde, Kate Kurd. Ladies and gentlemen, it's done by us, for us. It's called Comedy Fest, www.comedy-fest.com. Watch out, get involved, and support UK Black comedy, because we're coming back and making a statement, ladies and gentlemen. So that will be one of the things that I'll be working on. Yeah, whilst not doing What a Week. So I hope to catch you down there. Tony, you have a diplomatic immunity pass to come to any of the shows, my brother.
Oh, give thanks, brother. I'll be there. I'll be there. So just to remind the viewers again, those of you who are connected to the church in any way, you have any connection with your pastor, the Black church, I'm speaking of, if there is any way that I could get to give a Black history talk, to speak to some of the congregation members to open their eyes to what they're learning, please hit me up if you have those links and contacts. We really want to reach as much of our brothers and sisters as we possibly can, because as Mr. C pointed out, we have a very limited, viewership.
Reach.
So, yeah, reach. Thank you very much. That was the word, reach, on this show. And so And I need something to do during the summer while I'm away. What am I going to do if I'm not doing this? So help us out. Watch the shows, the repeats if you haven't seen them. September the 14th, we are back once again. What a week. Tony Crossbody, Mr. C, we're going to miss you all until then. Good night from me. I don't want to do this, Tony. I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss them so much.
Them still there. Sure. Oh, they're gone.
Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Stay blessed, man. Remember to live, love, and most importantly, to laugh.